Ein Plan wäre nicht schlecht. Das wäre schon mal hochinteressant. Wir müssen jetzt mal gucken. Ich wäre mal dafür, dass wir eins nacheinander machen. Jetzt habe ich irgendwann mal 20, 30 Aufgaben. Und blick ohnehin schon nicht mehr durch. So, wir müssen einmal stehlen, aber wie mache ich das denn? Er müsste ja doch dann abgelenkt sein. Ich weiß nicht mehr, was wir stehlen sollten, was wir klauen sollten. Habe ich mit dir schon gesprochen? Hey! Hallo? Komm zu mir.
Now, what's on your mind?
Was geil wäre, was ich gedacht habe, man hätte das machen können, dass ja auch tatsächlich, aber das wäre echt schwer geworden, dass man Latein nicht auch noch eingesprochen
Well,
hätte.
it's a long one and kind of sad, but I don't mind telling it. I'm a farmer, always have been. I grew up in a small village in Britannia, Camulodunum, with my parents and two little sisters. Lovely part of the world. One day, when I was about 20, my father and I were in the top paddock.
Sollte vielleicht.
I did. Sprinted so fast I almost threw up. My mother died of a broken heart soon after, and things went downhill from there. I took over the farmstead, but I was young, and it was a struggle. More raiding started before too long. We'd come outside in the morning to find animals missing, our stores pillaged. These Legion thugs just took... One night, when my sisters and I had nothing left to steal, there was a knock at the door. I knew who they were. I got my father's old axe, pulled the door open real quick, and before that soldier knew it, split his face. But there were more of them. I never saw how many, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up with a mouth full of dirt and lungs full of smoke. My home. Yeah, well, I wasn't the only one this happened to. It wasn't long before Boudica led thousands of Britons in a rebellion against the Romans. Unfortunately, there were just too many of them. And those of us who survived, they enslaved. So, then I found myself being transported all the way to Rome to be sold to the highest bidder. I spent a few years working for my new master, learning the Romans' ways, Romanized my name and everything. Tried to escape a couple of times, but they always found me, and I'd just end up right back. I'd probably still be there too, if it wasn't for the stampedes breaking out. You see, about 7 months ago, everybody was running down toward the river, screaming and shouting.
Aber wie gesagt, es ist ja so, dass keiner vorher hier war bis jetzt. Es waren alle geflüchtet, weil die größte Grillparty der Welt in Rom war.
That's what I thought too, for a while. But it seems the gods aren't done tormenting me yet. See, I finally had my own farm again, safe from the grasping hands of the Romans. Or until Sentius the Decurion demanded I hand over all my produce. It's for the good of us all, he says. Only he takes the best bits for himself, of course. So, it turns out our dear old magistrate is no better than the Legion thugs who took everything from me. I'm right back where I began. But don't you worry, Nemesis is waiting, and he'll get his, one day. He'll get his. Forget I said that last part, will you? I get carried away sometimes. Thanks, friend. I knew I liked you.
Was eigentlich sehr witzig ist, weil klar und klar lügen. Ich könnte auch klar sagen und trotzdem ihnen das sagen.
Well, as much as I'd love to get out of here, the harvest's always more fruitful in another man's field, isn't it? But Scintilla, Sentius's daughter, went missing a few weeks back. Could be she found a way out. If anyone knows for sure, it'll be her sister, Sentia. but she'd never tell the likes of me. Oh, I don't give it much thought these days. I mean, everybody here's got their own view about what we need to do to
Ich will noch mit
survive.
ihr quatschen.
But I say, let's
Du bist
spend
da
less
noch
time. I can't see how I could vote for either candidate. I don't like Sentius much, but Malleolus is almost as bad. Even I could do a better job. Me, a farmer. And I've never given a speech or put on a toga in my life. I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. And that's good enough for me. Because Sentius put him there. Poor Dooley was just wandering around looking for some imaginary treasure. Now a magistrate accused him of being a thief. That's nonsense, of course. Dooley's the most harmless man you'll ever meet. But Sentius really has it in for him, for some reason. Gladly. But...
Okay, ich habe jetzt gedacht, das wäre jetzt noch eine andere Option. Wer sind Sie denn, Fremdling?
Hello?
A new face, Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the... Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from.
Immer.
I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?" The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change. You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here? Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you. Older. I see. I wonder if... No.
Bin ich der Einzige, der das mit den Karren nicht versteht?
I
Anscheinend ja.
don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking. Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember and see if you notice any patterns. I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too. Up until a few weeks ago, she was a perfectly productive member of our little community, darning clothes and cutting hair. She was always so chatty, always seeking out newcomers and asking them where they were from and how they wound up here. And then, about a month ago, she suddenly changed. She withdrew, stopped working and became despondent, started muttering to herself. Galerius and I visited her to see how we could help, but she just looked at us with this haunted stare, called us bloodless shadows, and told us we were ignorant of some pattern. Look, it could be unrelated. Perhaps she simply fell ill. Or, as Galerius suggested, the weight of the golden
Ja, das
rule
muss
was
es
too
doch
much
eigentlich.
for her. But there is a small chance that she learned something, saw a pattern nobody else saw, and that it broke her. I just don't want to see that happen to you. Have? Then what is it?
Okay. Der rote Faden, aber...
Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else? That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. What else? There are definitely some common threads there. But I think we'll keep asking people how they wound up. Livia. Let's do it your way. You know. Car. Oh, You have. Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us, it's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livy you mentioned earlier. You met a young woman and... I see. And was this Karen, by any chance, wearing a hood? Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths. But don't follow too closely.
Okay.
We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Scheint bin ich echt der Einzige, der Karen nicht so ganz aus. Könnt's eigentlich jetzt stehlen, ne? Ihr hört durch ihre Ohren zu. Ihr. Ihr da oben?
We'll talk in the baths. There's some...
Ja, warum rennt ihr denn da hier? Ja, warte, nicht so schnell hier. Aber das sind doch jetzt nicht die Bäder. Also, vielleicht schon. Für sie jetzt zum Beispiel, aber... Okay. Stimmt, hier bin ich runtergefallen. Sie mir jetzt ein Neuankömmling?
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see...
Ah!
Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry.
Ich bin
I
tot?
take it you know what this means. I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll
Was ich aber
try to
nicht...
answer them if I can.
Aber
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also
wir sind doch keine
possible for the
Römer und wir
living
sind
to
nicht
reach
vor...
it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So
Aber wir
I'm
sind auch nicht von
afraid
dem
I don't
Feuer
know.
abgehauen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid.
Homer.
But they always involved the souls of the dead, meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol.
Das sagt mir wieder
Of
tatsächlich, glaube ich,
course,
was.
an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Also das sagt mir schon
The
was,
only
was man...
difference is that they spelled it with a kappa, which I suppose means Kharon is closer to the original spelling. To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named
Alles fängt
Kamut
mit
Tabal
C mit dem
wearing
K
an
an.
eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again. Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not. No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you. Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld.
4.
Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret
Vielleicht
gate.
hat ja
So it
die eine
seems you have
Tochter
two options.
die
To
Tür da
confront
gefunden.
the god of the underworld head on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide. All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Jehova, Jehova.
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried. Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the golden rule, and maybe even put an end to it.
Komm
As
aus
I said,
Berlin, Neukölln.
Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules. Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be
Schon mal
a key
klopfen
fob.
probiert?
I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again. It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian,
Gallisch.
and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque. Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their...
Ja, dass Nero den Brand nicht gemacht hat, das ist ja nachweislich bewiesen worden.
Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque. I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum. Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, will be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room. I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other... As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said The god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage. If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels? Truly? And you're only bringing this up now?
Ich hab doch nie danach
I
gefragt.
suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say? Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps...
Oder vielleicht, vielleicht habt ihr einfach nur einen Knall. Ah, das zweite dann.
Been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out? Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through... Alright. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to... In any case, time is of the essence. May Fortuna guide...
So, wie kann ich jetzt selber nochmal speichern? Ich war nochmal schnell speichern. Ich vergesse es immer. Was ist das? Also... Muss ich erstmal... OBS hatte was. So, F8 und F10. Dann ist es entweder F7 und F9, ne? Was ist jetzt F9? F9 ist Laden. Bitte jetzt nicht ganz woanders. Okay. Ah, F5. Okay. Okay. Ich würde tatsächlich erst mit Livia sprechen. Wartet gegen die Strömung. Welche Strömung? Es gibt... Wartet gegen die Strömung. Was ich mich jetzt... Ich weiß jetzt nicht mehr, wie die eine römische, die da verschwunden ist, heißt.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ja, das war mir klar, dass ich jetzt stehle war blöd. Also muss ich ja. Uah. Wo lang muss ich überhaupt? Ha! Wenn ich wüsste, wo lang ich jetzt noch muss. Ja, geht doch nicht hin. Aber... Okay. Den habe ich jetzt nicht ganz verstanden.
Salve. Oh, sounds serious. All right, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood. I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you...
Ich war keine Ahnung mehr.
The 49 melodies fetch again.
Did you know I was headed in there?
No time to explain. Go!
All right, I'll be in my bakery. Thank you, Galerius.
Hey, Virgil, how much would you want to make me a bow?
For the last time, Dacis, I'm not making you a bow.
But why?
You know why.
But how am I going to defend myself against someone else with a weapon?
There are no other weapons in the city. We
Okay.
all went along
Das ist
with the
cool.
magistrate's weapon.
Muss ich nicht jedes Mal die gleiche Scheiße machen.
Hey Horatius, how's it feel knowing your man's doomed to lose the election today?
You're trying to blow me in the head.
We're finally alone. I assume you all... We have? It seems rather brash, but all right. Thank you.
Das heißt, ich muss mit ihm tatsächlich nicht nochmal sprechen, sodass es in Anführungszeichen, okay, das heißt, ich muss diese Sachen, die ich ganz am Anfang zweimal gemacht habe, nicht nochmal machen. Das ist schön.
What are you doing in here? Can't you see she needs the resin of a plant? What? Quick, give it here. Yulia, Yulia, you need to swallow this. Here, let me help you.
Gib, also, ich habe Blut gelesen.
Hopefully in a moment she should be able to breathe normally. That was extraordinary. How did you know she needed this exact thing? And at this exact moment? Are you some kind of oracle? Ah, look. If you don't want to tell me, I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. But no matter, that was like the gods hearing my prayers and intervening. You just saved a person's life, and you should be proud of yourself. She might even be able to thank you herself enough, and maybe she can tell us who poisoned her, and who she meant when she was muttering about that snake's cruel blood. In the meantime, I'm happy to help you with... Oh no, sorry, I don't mean to what. There was one other person who claimed she could hear the statues talking to her. But that was Nevia, and well, She used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician, but she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good too, until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. This changes everything, she kept saying, but I had no idea what she was talking about. The last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem, a real thorn in the paw situation. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed. He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off, and I worry he'll end up losing his temper and lashing out. And you know what I just know Navia would know how to treat it. Really? That would be wonderful.
So, ich habe eigentlich gar keinen Bock mit dir zu sprechen. Ach komm. Nicht weinen, bin noch da. Papi ist da.
Oh, it's you. Sorry, I'm still a bit out of it. But thanks for trying to help me, I suppose. Was there something you wanted? Lucretia says I'm supposed to rest. As much as I'm grateful that you tried to help me, it's just not safe for me to talk about it. The Golden Rule. That's the least of my worries. The gods may be cruel, but Malleolus and Claudia
Ich hab so viele
are
Namen.
far crueler.
Ich weiß nicht, wer.
Please, just leave. Persistent as Nemesis, aren't you? All right.
Eigentlich habe ich es nicht, aber
I'd been here about a week. When it dawned on me I'd be trapped here for the rest of my life. I could hardly breathe, and I knew I had to get out somehow. So when my new friend Aurelia offered me a secret way out, I would have done anything. And then I learned her asking price.
$1,000 hier lösen.
1,000 denarii. She was supposed to be my friend. I told her it would take me years to save up that much. So she suggested I take out a loan from Malleolus. And I did. I had to sign an agreement saying I'd work off the debt over 30 years. But I figured I'd be out of here so soon it wouldn't matter. I paid Aurelia, and she gave me her so-called way out. Do you want to know what it was? Hemlock. It's a deadly poison made from a plant. Drink this, she said, and you'll be out of here in no time. Of course, I demanded my money back, but she refused. She pointed to a sign on her tavern saying, "Let the buyer beware." Then she just looked at me with those cruel black eyes.
Ach, das ist die von der Taverne. Ah.
She laughed. She immediately told Malleolus I'd tried to escape without paying him back. Only, he didn't seem upset or surprised at all. In fact, he just thanked her. And that's when I realized the two of them had planned the whole thing from the beginning. That's what I said to the magistrate. I went to Sentius and begged for help, but he said the law was clear. I'd signed over my labor for 30 years and there was nothing he could do. I thought about resisting too. But Malleolus said if I didn't submit, I'd break the golden rule. And I couldn't be responsible for all those deaths, so he locked me in his villa. Confiscated everything I owned as collateral, and made me wear immodest, humiliating outfits while I worked day in, day out. His wife Claudia was just as bad. She set me to work on an endless stream of futile, demeaning tasks. I'd be on my hands and knees, scrubbing the floor clean for hours, only for her to pour slop on it and hiss, "You missed a spot." Those two took everything from me. But they forgot to confiscate one thing: my hemlock. I just wanted it to be over, but it seems I messed that up too. Should have drunk all of it. I brought it on myself. I trusted one of the most callous human beings I've ever met, and tried to swindle the other. I don't know how I could have been so stupid. When I've recovered, I expect their thug Domitius will come for me. He'll escort me back to their villa, and I'll be right back where I started. Only this time, I won't be able to lull myself to sleep at night with the thought of a permanent solution. Honestly, it would have been better if the poison had been allowed to run its course. I doubt it. It seems this is the fate the gods have chosen for me, for trying to escape. At least until someone breaks the golden rule. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. A lot. But it doesn't matter. I made a suicide pact with Ulpius last night. He's in exactly the same position as I am. Malleolus and Aurelius set the same trap for him a month after they did it to me. He and I are in this together. He's probably already thrown himself from the bluff into Malleolus's villa by now. If so, I'd never be able to live with myself, knowing I broke my promise to him. I doubt you could make it up to the bluff in time. I don't know who you are, or why you seem so determined to help me, but thank you. All right. You mean my life story? Oh, well, our father found good husbands for my sisters, but I wasn't, cut out for that kind of life. So he found me a job as a scribe for It was a good life for a while. Until 7 months, we must have had 100 workers passing buckets of water, chanting prayer, but they fell on deaf ears. The fire was relentless, and it claimed everything and everyone. My employer told me to grab what valuables I could and flee for the Tiber with the crowd. I remember diving into the river, and then the next thing I knew, I was... Thank you. But to be honest, sometimes I think dying in that... If that's your idea of a joke... I know what kind of person you are. Leave me alone.
Handlungsnotiz, Blähung, Geschwüre, Magenschmerzen, Rheuma, Weidenrinde.
May Apollo keep you safe. Feeling all right? Oh, I see. Well, what's the treatment? Willowback. I should have known. It was under my nose the whole time. That's very... I have some right here. Could you do me a favor and give him some of this? He'll just need to swallow a pinch of it. I'm hoping it will... Thank you. That's a...
Name's Rufius. What business is that of yours? Willowbark. And this will work? Oh, thank God. Finally, some relief. This is what I've been praying for. Maybe God hasn't abandoned me after all. Thank you. I've been in a lot of pain lately. The rheumatism, these cursed statues always watching, and the crisis of faith. It was too much. Started messing with my head. This is exactly what I needed to set it straight again. I owe you one. No idea what you're talking about. All right. After this, we're square.
I think I have seen that plaque. Sorry I lied. Can't be too careful these days. Head into the caves behind the theater. Turn right, then right again.
Oh, and here. You'll need this key.
Was ist das denn für ein Name?
You didn't get that from me. See you around.
So. Jetzt müssen wir nochmal... Von wo kam ich denn? Ich kam von da, ne? Ich werde versuchen, euch zu helfen. Ich möchte aber gerne noch mit der einen Levitia, wie sie heißt, sprechen. Wir wissen ja jetzt, worum es hier geht.
You, Tantalus, cannot catch. Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, but it does not notice the crowds that come. Say it. Speak its name. Then it is true. I was right. I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it? I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone, Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives. And still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice, and now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
Herrscher der Unterwelt wird ja dann hier... Ihr hört durch ihre Ohren zu.
Handsome.
So, meine...
Ah, you're here. I'm so... And, you're not like any Roman man I've ever... How dare you? Oh, do us all a favour and drink hemlock, Caput Mur...
Aha. X. Ja. Es ist eure Entscheidung. Wenn ich jetzt jedes Mal X drücke, kommt, das ist eure Entscheidung. Das ist eure Entscheidung. Ja, aber ich... Achso, danke, dass ich irgendwann mal hier weiß, wo lang ich hier muss. Ich glaube schon, glaube ich, der einzige Clown. Ah, nein! Ja, da wollte ich schon gar nicht runter.
Malleolus isn't receiving visitors at the moment, it being election day. The name's Domitius. You want to get to Malleolus? You go through me.
Da bin ich schon gerade vorbei, ja.
Too bad. He's busy. Unless... No. You don't look like you could afford it. I'm glad you asked. See, he's a busy man, and this is an important day. He'll be inside practicing his victory speech for tonight. Left me strict instructions he doesn't want to be disturbed. So if you want to see him, I'll need some... Bribe? That's such an ugly word. What I'm looking for is more of a tribute to me, your soon-to-be patron. Dunno. Something good. Just make it good. When Malleolus wins the election, yeah, this place will change. You won't even I think it's gone on long enough, and Malleolus is going to put an end to it once he's elected. Old man said she's got you already, did he? Well, I'm not talking to people in his fact. Os in Coolio mio. Hey, you're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Contrary little cap at murder, aren't you? Nobody's told you about Hannibal? Ugh, why do I have to do everything round here? One day, a few weeks back, he comes out and tells me the cisterns are haunted. Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right? Anyway, a few days later he goes back in, and hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground, and hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie, I saw a creature. Like the corpse of a man who'd been flayed, and it was eating Hannibal. If it was a man, maybe, but I swear on my life this was no man. More like a Strix, or some Versipelus that feeds on human flesh. I didn't stick around to see which. What any sane person would have done. I legged it out of there and put a sign at the door to warn the others. Well, it's your funeral.
Ah! Wow. Frage nur eine. Hab ich gerade erschrocken. Sie nie, was? Ach, komm schon. Mich an? Hat mich gerade angeguckt? Gott. Ich traue dem Wasser gerade überhaupt nicht. Außerdem. bin immer noch der Meinung, dass die Statue sich zu mir gedreht hat. Okay. Meine Frage ist gerade, kommt das Skelett eigentlich jetzt jedes Mal wieder, wenn ich hier runter will? Unmöglich, unmöglich.
What's in Coolio Mio?
Wo bin ich? Es ist eure Entscheidung. Was denn für eine?
Ave.
Ave. Ein anonymer Freund von Octavia, möge der Herr euch segnen und bewahren. Es tut mir leid, dass ich es nicht riskieren konnte, dies mit euch persönlich zu besprechen. Aber wenn ich recht habe, dann seid ihr ein Gläubiger wie ich. Vielleicht könnt ihr hier nicht offen beten, aber ihr sollt wissen, dass ihr nicht alleine seid. Wenn ihr jemals das Gefühl habt, dass ihr einen Ort zu beten braucht, gibt es einen besonderen Ort, der tief in der Höhle hinter dem Theater. Okay, das ist das. Wenn die Römer 1 konnten, dann ist es saugeile, also jetzt saugeile Gebäude zu bauen. Hä?
A new face. Ave. I beg your pardon? Oh my. That is quite a lot to take in. Let's see. If that is indeed the case, we don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular. Hercules, Sisyphus, and finally, so it seems you have 2. May Fortuna.
Okay, das ist ihre Bude. Okay, die hat direkt 2 Türen. Sie wird euch führen. Ja, das war, also, hoffe ich. Ich jetzt wüsste, wo nochmal dieser Kacktemp, wo das Kacktheater ist, ne? Ach, wie gut, dass niemand weiß, dass ich nicht mehr weiter weiß. Es ist halt blöd, dass wenn man mit der rechten Maus, also mit der linken Maustaste gleichzeitig,
Isn't this temple imposing? I'm glad somebody had... Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the golden rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far? All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
What? Why? Why would you want that?
Why do you think I'm stuck for the rest of my life working for a man who treats me like an animal?
I know things are hard for you right now. They're hard for all of us. Please, please just think this through. If you do this, it could be the sin that seals all of our fates.
Ich hab nicht schon wieder Lust zu rennen.
I'm sorry, but I just don't...
Please, Ulpius, help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end.
Viel Glück, ich bin nochmal weg.
And please, choose your...
Let me guess. You're going to lecture me on how suicide...
Ich habe das Gefühl, so blöd es klingt, dass das vielleicht sogar die richtige...
I screwed up my life. That's what's wrong. I borrowed money and when I couldn't pay it back, I wound up in debt bondage. I'll be stuck slaving away for that Culus Cumulatis Malleolus for the rest of my life. I am out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
Ich renne nochmal.
I can't believe you. Well, I suppose it means suicide isn't a sin under the Golden Rule. So I guess... I'll have to let everyone know what happened. And I guess Malleolus will have to clean up the mess in his villa. It's of his own making, after all. And I'd best pray for poor Ulpius.
Die springen! Ah! Huh?
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Yes, thank you.
Du Arschgeige.
Deeply
Did you just leap into my villa from the balcony 100 feet above? That was either extremely reckless or impressively clever. Well, why have you risked life and limb to see me? You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different colored eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural-born ruler. Nothing more. That's quite all right. We all make mistakes.
Machen wir mal das. Wir können noch nichts beweisen.
I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today. I'm glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promising. These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny. By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule, it's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie? The person making a claim bears the onus of proving that claim. Can you do that? Can you prove the Golden Rule is real? Nonsense! There's no way you can prove that. If it was real and you'd seen someone break it, then you'd be dead already.
Glaub mir eh keiner.
What? Oh, I see what's happening. You mean that book next to a golden statue in the theater? Tell me, how do you know that statue wasn't put there by Sentius himself? You can't know. Surely, you're not one of those people who believes everything you read. As if a lie could be trapped. I disagree. I'll be guided by what is best for the city's people.
Das heißt, er muss gefühlt zur Wahl zugelassen werden, dann müssen wir ihn dann...
True, but that is simply because you are mistaken.
Dann können wir ihn da oben Oplius retten?
I'm afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the... You mean the children's fable exploited by Sentius to scare... Look, if I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy to sell it to you, but I don't, so I can't. Are you insane? You bard... Why would I withdraw from an elect... You are acting very strangely. I trust you can see yourself out. Through the door this time? There's a key just beside it.
Aber er hat doch selber goldene Statuen hier. Geht weiter. Den Schlüssel mit noch. Ey, du doof, ich bin durch die Tür gekommen. Das heißt, wir müssen jetzt irgendetwas wieder... Ja, was denn ist es eure Entscheidung?
So you survived the cistern. Probably just a stroke of fortuna. Don't get cocky.
Ja, darüber wollte ich eigentlich reden, du doof. Du bist ein Spaken. Ach, Mann. Dann sind doch die scheiß Seile auch irgendwie
Greetings. My friend. And in a city full of Romans, you are asking me? Because I am Greek. Let me. My name is Georgios, yes. But the Romans, they do not care. They hear me say Georgios, and they think, ah, he must mean Georgius. Good Roman. They do this all the time. They see us worshipping Zeus. I am flattered that they copy our ideas, but why must they change that? At first, I pull my hair out. After what? But my point is this. If you want to know who stole an old Greek name, look no further. The plague you seek was pilfered from a collection of old Greek relics by none other than... he cannot help it. Like a typical Roman. And besides, it makes him happy.
Das heißt, ich muss Dulli fragen, oder?
Let him keep it. I hope that our path...
Aber da komme ich ja nicht rein. Das können wir Dulli fragen.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad. Am I going to die in here?
I don't think so, my friend. It's election day today. Perhaps our new magistrate will be kinder than Sentius and let you out.
I hope so. Galerius, what happens when you die?
You're not going to die anytime soon, Dooley.
My mother told me, when you die, a ferryman helps you cross a river and your spirit lives on in the underworld. Is that true?
Well, yes, but...
Is it true that if you were good, you get to go to Elysium, but if you were bad, you get punished forever and ever in Tartarus?
Something like that, but...
If I die and go to Tartarus because they say I've been bad?
I'm not going to let that happen to you, Dooley. I promise.
Thank you, Galerius. Thank you.
Now, I have more work to do, but I'll visit you again soon, alright?
Alright, Galerius. See you then.
Salve again, friend. I went and... How is it possible that you've just arrived? You're a bit like... Oh, what was his name? Sisyphus. Yeah, that's the one. Old King Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a Greek king a long time ago. For daring to think he could outsmart the gods, he was given a terrible punishment. He was forced to push a great boulder up to the top of a hill. Only, just as it reached the top, it would roll all the way back down to the bottom, forcing him to start over and over and over again, for all eternity. Just like you. Actually, now that I think about it, there are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing. Tantalus was made to grasp at fruit on a tree he could never quite reach. The Pleiades had to keep fetching water in a sieve. Oh, and Ixion was strapped to a wheel going round and round forever. But, on the bright side, at least you're... Anyway, I don't know which god you managed to upset to get yourself into this position, friend, but... So, I'll tell you what. I'll keep doing whatever I can. Oh, that's good. Now, I'm going to keep your secret. Although, it's not as if I'll remember that. Oh, and if our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me you're busy. I know when I'm not wanted.
Bleib doch mal stehen.
Salve again, my Sisyphean. Now, what's on your mind?
Ich hab nix mehr, ne?
I can't see. Even I could. All right, friend.
Komm mal, du Dulli. Nee, ich wollte mit ihm sprechen.
Hello.
Die Tür.
Do you like it? It's shiny, innit? It makes me happy just looking at it. But if I gave it to you, then I wouldn't have it anymore, and I'd be sad. Well, if you get me out of here... Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate... Like Galerius? Yeah, Galerius will let me out. Then you can have... Bye-bye.
Wir müssen also Galerius jetzt dazu kriegen. Aber haben wir jetzt... Oder haben wir jetzt den Beweis? Ihr seid so fies. Ich frage mich aber auch gerade, ja, das ist die Blume, ja, das ist mir schon klar. Aber wie komme ich da hoch? Wenn ich jetzt nach da oben gehe, mich dann da runter schleudern.
Fortune smile on you, brother.
Willst du noch irgendwas für mich?
Salve again? No. All right.
Mach doch mal Platz. Wenn ich jetzt noch einmal nach da oben gehe, kann ich mich denn dann da runterfallen lassen? Ich hab das Ding nicht mehr. Ah! Ich kann mich nicht bewegen. Ich kann mich nicht bewegen. Ah, Katze, tust weh. Das heißt, oh Gott, ich muss jetzt abschätzen. Oh Gott, ich muss jetzt auch, Mann. Breche ich mir dabei denn nix? Was heißt ich voll? Was geht schneller, wenn ich jetzt hier speichere? Dann F9 drücke? Ich weiß es nicht. Gefühlt. Ah. Schaffe eine Blume für Galerius. Galerius, wo bist denn du?
Fortune smile on you, brother. I saw you slide down that rope before. Very impressive. And strange, too, since that device you used is exactly the same as one I've been working on for weeks. Oh, of course! It's because I already gave it to you in a previous time loop, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sorry to ask, but... Well, I've been trying to get this rare it's too steep to climb. Do you think you could use the Really? You already have it? I picked it up in a previous loop, I suppose. It's gonna take me a while to get my head around that. This is going to make her so happy. Equitia, I mean. Now I just have to... What I really want to do is walk up to her, give her the flower, and confess I've been madly in love with her since the moment we met. But on the other hand, I can't shake the feeling that the consequences could be... You mean, aside from her execution? You see, Equitia is a Vestal priestess, meaning she's taken a vow of chastity, the breaking of which would be an extremely serious affront to the gods and a capital offense. Even if she was just suspected of being unchaste, it could lead to her execution. Unchaste Vestals get buried alive. Oh, and I'd get flogged to death for good measure. I don't know what to do. Now that I hear you say that out loud, I hear how crazy it is. What I need is a go-between. Someone who can tell her how I feel. What do you say? Do you think you... Wonderful! Now, all I need you to do is give her the flower and tell her it's from a secret admirer. Tell her I'll keep my distance and that I just want her to know that she... Thank you.
Ach, das ist sie. Ich habe jetzt gerade... Total... Spricht die überhaupt noch mit mir? Ja, doch. Ich habe mich jetzt gerade leicht selbst verarscht. Ah, hier ist übrigens auch... Ah. Rennt sie gerade zu mir?
Again. Oh, how lovely. It just happens to be my favorite, too. Who do I have to thank for this?
Don't you just love springtime?
I see. So, it's from Galerius, then? Of course I do. I think everyone in the city knows. That man is a wonderful human being, and my favorite person in the world. But he is the least subtle secret admirer you could imagine. The way he looks at me with those puppy dog eyes. Plus, he's been trying for weeks to get his hands on this flower. He went to so much effort, too. Suspending that rope above the lake, inventing that pulley device all on his own. He'd just stand there each morning, looking at the flower, trying to summon the courage to seize it. Oh, my heart. Tell that adorable oaf that my Vestal's vow of chastity ends once I turn 36. So, if we ever make it out of here, and he doesn't mind waiting a few years...
Wie alt sind Sie? 18.
Tell him I love him too. I hope so. I don't, I'm afraid. It seems... I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, but here it seems I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great... Would you like to hear it? It is rather long. Wonderful. It goes like this. Borsis and Philemon were an old married couple living a humble life in a small town. One night, the town gets a visit from a couple of vagrants. They go from door to door, asking for a place to stay the night. Of course, being vagrants, they're turned away sharply from house after house, 1,000 in all, until finally they come to the little cottage where Borsis and Philemon lived. Now, the kind old couple had very little to offer, but they invite these strangers into their house and offer them food, wine, and a place to stay. They begin gulping down the old couple's wine, so much so that Borsis, the old lady, begins to worry they're going to run out. And then she notices something strange. Her wine pitcher keeps refilling itself, as if by magic. Realizing only a select few possess such powers, says to her husband, Philemon, "I think these men are gods in disguise." Immediately the couple begins apologizing for offering such coarse wine, and the vagrants metamorphosize and reveal themselves to be Jupiter, the king of the gods, and Mercury, the trickster god. They confide they didn't mind the meager offerings. They were just pleased that someone in the town offered them hospitality. Then Jupiter says to them, "You have passed our test, but everyone else in this city failed, so we are going to destroy this place and everyone in it, except you, who we will grant a wish." So old Borsis and Philemon escape up into the mountains safely, and they receive their wish, which is for eternity together. Meanwhile, Jupiter carries through with his threat and wipes that city off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves. I'm pleased to hear it. It must be completed by dusk, just the same as it'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malia. Why do you ask? I like the idea, but I know Galerius well, and his position has always been that he won't run unless Malleolus withdraws. It was only yesterday that he said to me he'd only ever run if it was absolutely necessary to make sure Sentius wasn't re-elected. So, I suppose if you'd like to see Galerius elected magistrate, you'd need to persuade Malleolus to withdraw somehow. Certainly. See you again.
Der rannte doch hier gerade noch rum. Ah, Galerius. Einer der wenigen Namen, die ich hier kenne. Ah! Wo bin ich hier? Hä? Ach, hier rum. Also bin ich froh, dass die Ausdauer hier extrem lang ist. Ach. Ich spring einfach mal.
Don't you just love springtime? Salve again, my... Now, what's on your mind? Thanks. Venus, that is the best news I've ever heard in my life. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You have... I wish there was something I could do to thank you properly, but all I can do is tell you where there's a secret stash of coins you might be interested in. Thank you, friend. But I'd feel bad if I didn't tell you any. In the rock tunnel, near the stairs, there's a little doorway set into the rock. Inside, if you look carefully, you can see a chest. Unfortunately, one of those golden huntress statues is blocking the path. I'm not game to move it. If you can figure out how to get past it, I reckon there might be a small fortune waiting for you. All right, friend.
So, wir können ja jetzt einfach mal... Weil ich meine, das war... das war ja da, wo ich jetzt den Bogen wieder brauche. Die Priesterin. Okay, rechts, Tür. Ist es nicht irgendwie hinter dem? Ne, hinter dem, ne? Hä? Ich glaube, ich gerade leicht. Ach, da. Hieß es nicht? Nee, nee. Hinter dem Theater. Für mich ist das jetzt ein Theater. Ach, das ist... Okay, das ist die andere Geschichte. Komm ich jetzt wieder hier runter?
I'm guessing that Promethean fire's not for sale.
Stopp.
You there. I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice that fine gold leaf bow you're carrying. In fact, if I didn't know better, I'd say it looked like my own hand. You've given me an idea for a scheme that will make us both very, very wealthy. Then you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft exactly, but make no mistake, this is a dangerous path. But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a risky... Now, you must... When Prometheus stole fire from the... Because the gods would see you, of course. Hence, my proposal. I'm more of an ideas man, whereas... So, are you in, partner? Now, I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside. It's just at the end of the street on...
brauche eure Hilfe, ja, aber...
Don't you just love springtime?
Nö? Sehe ich nichts. Da oben. Wie kriege ich den Scheiß?
You, partner? Do you have the bow? Wonderful. Just go ahead and slide it under the door for me and I'll unlock it. And yet you did. And now, here we are. With me out here and you in there. No, technically, I never said that. I said, if we were to split all those rings, it's hardly my fault if you can't tell the difference between a hypothetical and a promise, now is it? Oh, I do love... You're just gonna have to take your chances, I'm afraid. The bow, now. And don't even think about giving me the fake one. I'll recognise my own handiwork. I would reconsider my position quickly if I were you. I'm not sure if you noticed, but you're stuck in there with a hornet's nest. And they can be rather aggressive. You know, some say it takes 27 hornet stings to kill a man. But I always wondered how anyone could have known that. Let's find out if they were right.
Ah! Ah! Oh ne, doch nicht. Da komm ich denn trotzdem hier hoch? Ah, jetzt hier. Der Typ, der da,
My beloved
Einige...
Galatea, I write this So that one day, when we're finally together, you will understand what I've done and why I had to do it. The others will call me mad or a monster, but I don't care what they think. Everything I'm doing here,
Gott. Ich werde am Anfang beginnen, kurz nochmal nach.
I'll start at the beginning. Soon after my arrival here, as I walked down a corridor lined with golden statues, I thought I heard a whisper behind me. A rasp of air, as if vocal cords of metal strained to say a word or two. I tried to dismiss the idea, tried to concentrate on my work as the city's medic, but that tortured whisper haunted me. Weeks later, in the hallway to the bathhouse, I heard it again and found myself drawn to the statue of a Roman woman wearing a stola. Her face was contorted by anguish and fear, and disturbingly, it was as if she was looking right at me. As I walked past her, I heard that strained whisper again.
Deswegen hatte ich am Anfang gedacht, warum guckt mich da jemand an?
Even though I had moved, she was still looking right into my soul. That was when it dawned on me. This was no statue. This was a woman trapped within that golden prison. Naturally, I told the others, but when I could not reproduce the results of my experiment, they would not believe me. But from that moment on, I knew the full horror of this place.
Ah, ich kann jetzt da durch. Ah, okay.
Statues are living human beings. It was that day, my love, that my heart broke.
Ah! Vielleicht soll ich auch warten, bis die auch, Ich traue der Sache nicht so ganz. Wo bin ich? Ah! Wieso? Ah! Bescherte Danke. Wieso bedanken die sich denn? Wo komme ich denn aus?
You're not supposed to be here.
Gott. Wobei Horror finde ich das jetzt nicht, aber auch wenn ich mich jetzt tausendmal erschrocken habe. Wo denn? Jetzt hier entlang. Komme ich nicht wirklich weit. Ach, da. Ups. Hier entlang ist es eure Entscheidung. Interessant, dass die erleichtert sind, wenn ich sie indirekt töte. Indirekt noch mehr töte. Hey, danke. Wo bin ich? Ich wollte eigentlich gar nicht so lange aufnehmen, das Spiel. Ist so hoch? Bleibst du mal stehen? Oder sie? Och, Idiot. Ein bisschen zu voreilig ist. Denke ich fest. Bisschen streng.
My beloved Galatea, after I learned the terrible truth about the golden statues, I wandered the city as if in a
Oh. Meine geliebte Galatea, nachdem ich die Wahrheit über die goldene Statue erfahren hatte, wanderten...
but kept alive somehow, trapped in their own personal Tartarus, consigned to eternal torment, too horrific for any sane mind to comprehend.
Ich möchte jetzt eigentlich nur noch dieses das hier machen.
I began to talk to them, to keep them company. I'd imagine backstories for them, give them names, and tell them of the world, of the histories and stories I'd learned as a child. As the others became more concerned by my charity, I sought solitude from them, preferring the company of my tormented charges. Discovering a way into the abandoned palace, I began to spend my days walking its halls and sharing with its occupants ancient tales, my mind turning to those of Apollo and Daphne, Perseus and Medusa, and Pygmalion and Galatea. Pygmalion, the sculptor who fell in love with a beautiful statue, and who, praying to Aphrodite for aid, discovered that his beloved Galatea.
Dann denke ich mir, ich treffe.
It was then that I heard you whisper to me, Galatea. Forgive me. I know that is not your real name, just one I had borrowed from a story. But when I turned to look at you, I saw the most exquisitely beautiful woman I have ever known. Your face, forever frozen in a look of haunting sadness. Our meeting gave me new purpose. To free you from...
Bin gerade im Kampfmodus. Will noch jemand? Columbo im Kampfmodus. Hallo. Danke. Jetzt wollen die doch, ne? Hab ich jetzt nicht so ganz verstanden. Jetzt wollen sie sterben? Also einerseits wollen sie sterben.
My beloved Galatea, my attempts at freeing these souls from their golden prisons have not been going to plan. My first charge was a Greek woman who I called Iodame after the Athenian turned to stone by Medusa. Drilling through the gold that encased her, I was vindicated by the discovery that beneath half an inch of gold, which is so rigid it must be some kind of alloy, was living flesh. Unfortunately, this golden alloy seems to have fused with her skin, so removing it exposed the sinew and muscle beneath and appeared to cause her great pain. At first, I braced myself, expecting that inflicting such pain would break the golden rule, and yet, somehow, it did not. It seems whichever god is responsible for imprisoning these poor souls does not care about their suffering at all. They are forsaken. Undeterred, I pressed on, working late into the night, attempting to remove the golden
Obwohl, das war jetzt
layer
nicht so erschreckend.
and place her as delicately as I could. Eventually, I was able to free most of her body. But when I released
Muss
her
ich
from her restraints,
denn das jetzt
her
Gold jetzt
first
treffen,
act
damit
was
die
to lunge for
endlich...
my throat,
Geh mal weg.
clawing at me with all her strength and those sharp metal talons. This was my thanks for trying to save her. Whatever possessed Iodame's attack, she was clearly not a suitable subject for my experiment, and I was forced to let her inside an isolated wing of the palace and bar the door. As I continued working on others, I could hear her flailing and launching herself at the other side endlessly. Regrettably, my other experiments bore similar results, and after relocating a few times, most of the palace is now too dangerous to work in. Still, as much as my heart aches to know that you're suffering, I cannot risk attempting to ungild you yet. Not until I have perfected a method that will bring you back to me, cold.
Entweder habe ich das Gefühl zweimal
And ensuring your humanity.
treffen oder halt irgendwas, was bei denen Gold ist.
One day we will be together, even if I have to free every last statue in this god's forsaken house.
Also nicht falsch verstehen, es wäre mal nett, wenn das hier mal vorbei wäre. Ja, die hat jetzt versucht, ein Gegenmittel? Ich habe das jetzt nicht alles so mitgelesen. Ja. Ah.
And you must be the wretched snake who broke into my palace and disturbed my experiments. And, worst of all, look at what you made me do to her. This never would have happened if you just stayed away. You're going to pay for that.
Halt, stopp!
Liar! I locked and barred the gate. I left a message warning you all to leave me alone. I just wanted to do my experiments in peace. For her. And now look at her. You made me turn the most beautiful woman I've ever seen into this. Look at her. She's in agony. All I wanted was to spend my last moments with her. To see her beautiful face. To hear her speak freely. Instead of in those cryptic whispers. But as soon as I began my work, she stopped whispering to me. And now I discover she started whispering to you instead. What's so special about you? What do you mean, the same voice? Yes. I remember when they used to whisper to me. They did sound similar. I just thought it was because all voices sound the same when they whisper. But now that I think about it, they were all benevolent and seemed to share a common knowledge.
Könnte sie das, die Schere, Messer oder was? Ne. Die Schere da weg tun?
This body is nobody. And everything I've done here was... Wait, I see what you're doing. You're trying to steal her away from me. Were you planning to wait until I'd done all the hard work, then swoop in? Is that it?
Ist ja noch durchgeknallter.
Liar! You tried to steal her away from me, and now look what you made me do. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't peel you too. What? What are you talking about? Wait. So you're saying you weren't
Nicht, dass ich
coming
wüsste.
for us? So I did all this. I ruined her. For nothing. What have I done? Oh God, I feel sick. I can't bear the thought of her being like this. And in so
Ja, man
much
sieht sie auch nicht
pain.
an.
It's the air coming into contact with her flesh. It's agonizing for them. But the only way to fix it will be to break the golden rule.
Ja, nicht schon wieder.
Let it run its course. At least that way she'd be golden again, and we'd be together. All it would take is one little cut. It's too late. There's nothing you can do. I have to do this. I'm sorry. What? Wind back time? What are you talking about? What? How is that possible? The goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, of course. But I'm confused. If you've harnessed the secrets of the gods, why tell me? I see. Well, I'll trust you to honor our bargain. But if you don't, mark my words, I'll break the golden rule and kill you and everyone else in this city. As a quid pro quo, here is the only thing of value I have left. The key to the chest in the Shrine of Apollo. There should be something in there that's useful to Lucretia.
Wo ist denn jetzt der Apollo-Schrein?
Now, please leave. The door here leads out onto the palace balcony. You should be able to make your way down from there. Go. And never
Versprochen. Die gleiche Kacke mache ich nicht nochmal. Kann ich mit ihr eigentlich sprechen? Ich will es gar nicht machen. Ah. Ah! Okay. Boah, jetzt mache ich aber echt Pause. Hab 2 Stunden gespielt, hab gefühlt nichts erreicht. Okay, dann würde ich sagen, wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. Bei The Forgotten City. Gut. Bis dann und tschüss.